parishes that didn't meet the muster. And they're going to go back to the drawing board, and I know they're working hard on it already, and that's positive too, I think. So I feel very good about this process. Happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent. Any comments, Ms. Vaucher?
None. I'd just like to recuse myself.
Make sure we make a note of that. Ms. Holloway?
I'd like to recuse myself on
Gotcha.
4.
Duly noted. Any other comments from the board? No comments. Welcome, Ms. Evanston. Without any further comments, any objection? Hearing no objection, motion carries. Next item, please.
On page 89, item 5.2, consideration of a report from Education Finance staff concerning Type 5 charter school budgets and expenditure reports, including irregularities or concerns. The recommendation is to receive.
Need a motion to receive this report, please? Dr. Bofi, I need a second. Mr. Garvey, any comments? No comments or questions. Any objections to the motion? Hearing none, motion carries. Next item.
On page 94, item 5.3, consideration of RSD contracts and leases of $50,000 and over. The recommendation is to approve.
Any motion to approve this? Ms. Vaucher, any second. Ms. Holloway, any comments, questions? Any objection to the motion? With no objection, the motion carries. Next item, please.
On page 97, item 6.1, consideration of 8G program and budget revisions and or progress reports on statewide grant programs for fiscal year 2017-2018. The recommendation is to approve.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Dr. Bofi, need a second. Mr. Rock, any questions or comments from the board? Any objections to the motion? With no objections, the motion carries. Next item.
On page 110, item 7.1, consideration of legislative reports. Recommendations are to receive the reports in response to Act 303 and the report from the Commission on Assessment Review and Use in Public Schools regarding H.R. 166, and authorize the LDE to submit the reports to the House and Senate Education Committees by January 31st, 2018. And to approve the report in response to H.R. 94 and authorize the LDE to submit the reports to the House and Senate Education Committees by January 31st, 2018.
So, comment calls. We're taking my portion for all three. You get a motion. If you note in your booklet there, you see approve and authorize for one item and then receive and authorize for the other two. I can take a motion to do all three of those actions at once. Dr. Jones?
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Ms. Evanston? All right. And we do have one comment card before we get to the board. Ms. Eva Kemp, would you come forward, please? Nope. You're going to pass? All righty then. Note that for the record. Any comments from the board? Ms. Vaucher?
I just have, I guess, an observation and a question. In one of these reports, and I think it's laid out on page, I guess, 128 and 129 of our folder, we're talking about the statewide assessments and the number of minutes that are suggested for each of these assessments. And I know that with the ELA and the math that we've spent some time in reducing the number of minutes in that testing cycle for those two exams, which I think is good. When I'm looking at the social studies, which is on the top of page 129, from what the amount of time the assessments were and now what they have been moved to, especially in the earlier grades, where we have more than double the amount of time for students to take those particular exams as the allowed time. And I'm looking at over 3 hours and sometimes approaching 3.5 hours for 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds in social studies. I know that in the science that we're looking at on the bottom of 128, we're only doing the field test this year, but another one of my concerns is when we actually go to the true assessment, if we're going to then double those or triple those amounts of time where we're looking at 8, 9-year-olds in 3.5 hours in those subject areas too, I'm beginning to wonder while I know we are confining the testing to a one-week model, that each day in that week, we're looking at testing these children 3.5 to 4 hours per day for each of those subject areas. And I'm just wondering if we could review that internally in the department to see if, especially with the science and the social studies, that we could still assess our Louisiana standards, but possibly not make it such a lengthy assessment, especially in those particular areas where at times we are exceeding what we're testing in ELA and math. So I would ask the superintendent just to revisit those and at some point have some discussions as to the appropriateness of the length of testing in those areas.
Superintendent.
Happy to do that.
Thank you. Dr. Jones?
Yeah, I'd like to echo the concern, and I'm a former social studies teacher, but I'd like to echo Ms. Boche's concerns. When I read this, I saw over there that it was the suggested time was 75 minutes, but I heard a lot of comments this year from teachers about the amount of time that social studies was going to take.
That's the old test. The new one's 195.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I heard those comments based on when the suggested time was 75 minutes, and now I see that we're looking at 109, anywhere from 195 to 225 minutes for that subject, which, if you really look at it, would seem to be excessive. And I just think we can accomplish our objective there with a test that is much more reasonable in length. So I would echo Ms. Boche's concerns.
Duly noted. Thank you, Dr. Jones. Any other comments or questions from the board? Any objection to the motions? The motion in front of us? With no objection, motion carries. Next item.
That concludes your agenda.
Meeting adjourned. 5 minutes for the next one. Fair enough? Not enough time? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. All right, so 10 minutes for the next meeting starts, which would be 9:40.